Hey guys, and what's today? It's Wednesday. Good Wednesday morning, March 22nd here. Michael Clark with BAM Weather. I hope this finds you well as we're getting into the spring and the summer. Our videos will become a little bit more ag focused, if you will. And I'm excited to get back into another season of planting, another season of growing, and get right into kind of the latest information. All right, so today's video, I wanted to give you an idea of what it is that we present on a daily basis to our customers via our application and our reports that we provide to folks. So let's get right into it. What I want to show you right now is month to date temperatures on the right and NWS precipitation normal the last 14 days. A couple of things to note, okay? Where the heaviest of the rain is coming this weekend, the pattern over the last couple of weeks, it has been, as you can see, a little bit drier than normal with a lack of really any significant activity. It's kind of been focused up off into the north. But the way the pattern has really been kind of structured or oriented, if you will, with the warmth kind of along the east coast and the southeast here, or the southern tier of the U.S., and the cold spilling in behind it. We've had snow and we've had moisture kind of being kind of pushed off or held off to the north and to the west, if you will. And the snow just went through yesterday, through the Dakotas and Minnesota, dumping a swath there of 6 or more inches of snow. A lot of those guys have had snow on the ground for quite some time. This look here that you see, though, this warmth in the east, cold in the west, it's responsible for this gradient, this pattern that's going to be setting up to really allow for a pretty active weather pattern here. This is a look at the European model just over the course of the next couple of days. And you can see we have a big storm system that will come through here late week into the weekend, bringing heavy rain, flooding with it, snow on the northwest side of this through Chicago into Michigan, eventually up into the north and east. And then in the extended, yet another system here in that 6 to 10 day that will bring more rain and storm chances here to the eastern U.S., but also keep it cold. It's an active pattern that will feature plenty of ups and downs, all right, with this. And the first and foremost that we want to talk about here in the short term is the potential for excessive rain, flooding, possibly significant flooding, and strong storms, and maybe even strong tornadoes. All right, this is a look here at the day 2 excessive rainfall outlook, and you can see we've already got a slight risk here across portions of southern Illinois, Missouri, and the Arklatex regions here, or the northwest side of that, if you will. Sorry, more like Arkansas, Oklahoma, and portions of northern Texas. This is here for the start of this system. As we get into day 3, what we're concerned about is a slower moving, parallel flow here aloft down to the surface with winds and the overall structure of the storm system, possibly producing significant flooding. A day 3 moderate risk for excessive rainfall is pretty rare. So the north side of this system, day 3, looking at flooding, possibly significant flooding. Southern Ohio, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, the boot heel of Missouri into portions of Kentucky, Tennessee, and northeastern Arkansas. Further south, we are concerned about the potential for supercell thunderstorms and an outbreak of severe weather, particularly possibly strong tornadoes, day 3. I wouldn't be shocked if portions of Louisiana and Arkansas, Mississippi, possibly portions of Alabama, here looking at a moderate risk for the potential of a severe weather outbreak, and again, maybe some strong tornadoes here day 3. We're definitely going to want to keep an eye on that. The rainfall risk, it's interesting because there's a strong support across all of our ensemble products that say we are going to have quite the rainfall event. Map on the top left is a 24-hour rainfall forecast looking at our 95th percentile. So there's a 5% chance of rainfall amounts exceeding 4 or more inches of rain in a 24-hour period. I've kind of highlighted that right here. Then we go to our 10% probability where we still see a very, very heavy corridor of rainfall in a short period of time over an area that, really, the last 2 weeks they've been, drier. But if you look at really over the last 60 days, it really hasn't been that dry. In fact, it's running a little bit wetter than normal in this region, about 125%. Anytime we see the EPS indicate, the European Ensemble Package indicate a 3-inch greater probability of over 50%, we get concerned. We look at all of the ensembles, the European, the American, the Canadian, and just in the next 4 days, this area right here forecasted to be 500% of the normal or more. So a very, very strong signal amongst all the guidance for very heavy rainfall in the short term here, especially Friday, Saturday. You look at a 72-hour forecast from a blend of weather models right now, the heaviest rain over the course of the next 3 days will be focused right through here, through the Boot Heel, Missouri, the Ohio River Valley, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. Areas in here, you stand to really see a 3 to 5 inch rainfall, possibly locally higher. The issue is the colder temperatures hanging around, the lack of evaporation to get this water out of here. This is going to cause significant planting delays. Getting out in the field and getting any work done is certainly going to be challenging. If you don't have the application, if you don't have the weather portal, the BAM Weather subscription, all this stuff is broken down hourly and daily. And we use a very unique approach of dozens of different weather ensembles. We pour years and years of experience into our application. Not only do you have all this stuff hour by hour, it'll tell you if you can apply a spray each hour. It'll tell you the confidence and the trends of the forecast. It'll tell you all these different ag metrics like growing degree units, evaporative transpiration rates, soil temperatures, spray forecasts on the day. But you can chat with us directly. You can text us. Our meteorologists are always helping our growers, our farmers answer questions out in the field. There's nothing like it out there. There's nothing like it. And we've got a big revamp coming, version 2.0 on the way. I'm excited for that. Check us out, bamwx.com. If you're a grower, farmer in the ag business, turf business, we've got the solutions for you. Check us out. All right. Here's a look at precipitation the next 10 days. Okay. This is the GFS on the left and the European on the right. Listen, at the end of the day, they're both pretty similar. They're both saying the eastern Corn Belt and the Deep South over the next 10 days, very, very wet. A lot of rain. And with the colder temperatures hanging around, the potential of drying out anytime soon is pretty slim. And we've also got several cold fronts, strong ones in the mix. In fact, the latest GFS targets one of our stronger cold fronts. This is low temperatures the morning of the 5th and the 6th of April. These are temperatures in the lower 20s, okay? So the hard freeze, the hard frost risks, those are not yet over either. And so we're starting to get into the territory of thinking there could be some possible significant delays in the planting process here, especially in the eastern Corn Belt. You've got the 1 to 5 on the left, the 6 to 10 in the middle, the 11 to 15 on the right. This is a blend of over 100 different weather ensembles. All right, obviously we know in the 1 to 5 we have a significant rain event, flooding likely here in the eastern Corn Belt. There's the gradient, warm in the east, cold in the northwest, you're active in between, right? That's your battle zone. It's your baroclinic zone, if you will, if you want to get technical. 6 to 10 day period, the cold builds in. The front comes down after the storm system. Most of the country's below normal temperatures, and it's a little bit less active. In fact, precipitation will lull a little bit. And then as we get into the 11 to 15, we're still seeing some cooler departures, but the activity will start to come back as the cold subsides, and that jet stream is still alive and well. So the 11 to 15 looks to get active yet again. If we look at the Pacific pattern for indications in the longer term weather forecast, we continue to see the 1 to 5 to the top left, the trough to the north and west, running into the ridge along the Aleutian Islands. The chain of the islands here in the North Pacific continues to indicate an active pattern. The 11 to 15 day period tries to suggest that perhaps we could change the pattern up mid to late April. The second half of April, possibly it could get warmer and a little bit less active, maybe. Here's the caveat to that. The problem is that that's not really heavily supported in some of our subseasonal model forecast data where we look at the MJO, or the Madden-Julian Oscillation, the tropical forcing, right? The energy that's the tropical convection in the equatorial Pacific and the western Pacific Ocean. Where is it thunderstorming? Where is it altering jet stream patterns? Okay. This is a look here at the GEFS extended forecast, the 35-day. Takes us back into a phase 7 and 8 of the MJO, along with the BOMM, the Bureau of Australian Meteorology as well, going back 7, 8 MJO, and the latest European hints of 7 and 8 on the MJO. So what do the first 15 days of April look like with that in mind? Well, if you ask the European weeklies, they remain cool and they remain active. And that's really going to largely depend on the tropical forcing. But when you have all three of these models with a similar forecast, it's very difficult to dismiss that and not think about what that might bring in terms of that weather forecast. So let's take a look at this. The angular momentum, it's positive. All right. The MJO, phase 7, well, that's a cold phase. But we do believe, at least for a time, that if we get back into phase 7, that could at least lead to some drier time. These analogs here would suggest it's a less active pattern, despite what you might see from different sources on the CPC analogs. They're a little bit different, right? Now, the phase 8 analog, unfortunately, it's pretty wet. As we get back into that period, what might happen is this PNA might pop here to the north and west a little bit as we get 7 and 8, and the trough extends into the eastern U.S. It's cold, but it's active. I'm also seeing the hints of that in the North Pacific pattern. Now, if this evolution of the MJO can happen, that would, as it swings back around here and kind of migrates through the Pacific, or maybe at least gets out of 7 and 8 and possibly into 1, 2, and 3, that will probably keep things active, but the pattern could moderate temperature-wise, possibly later April, early May. Regardless, our outlook, the takeaway right now for the foreseeable future, is a colder pattern and an active pattern. This is our updated 16 to 30-day outlook from yesterday. We're going to keep below normal temperatures for much of the primary U.S. growing regions, much below normal temperatures into the central, north central plains, into the PNW, and above normal precip continues. We really don't have any reason to believe, even out through April, that the precipitation subsides enough for any substantial field work or progress. So delays, colder weather, big cold fronts, rainfall, those are going to be some of the top stories, we believe, as we get into the month of April. Again, you can get all that through the application. You can talk to us. You get all these updates daily, long-range maps, all that stuff. Make sure you're checking us out. Before I go, a quick look here at the seasonal outlook by some of the latest data. This comes in from our ENSO plume here, the IRI, which is the multi-model ENSO outlook, if you will. This here across the top, this is the threshold to get us into an El Nino. So any models above that, okay, those models say El Nino is possible. However, below that threshold is where we're in that ENSO neutral category. And you can see the latest update here between the 0 and the line just below that, strongly favoring a warm ENSO neutral, or a not technically an El Nino event. The difference between here and here is significant in the outlook for the seasonal forecast. So right now what we've been telling our clients is a cooler and wetter summer is something that we're leaning towards. Our lean right now is a cooler and wetter outlook for the summer season. The El Nino years, the weak ENSO years, they support that. They support the wet, they support the cool. The issue is the more neutral years after a La Nina, which we really have to monitor the progression of ENSO into late spring, early summer. Those years, in particular, after a La Nina, tend to favor a much hotter and a much drier forecast. Again, our lean is here right now until we have further evidence or more information to change that. But that's our lean for now for the growing season outlook. So we're not going to get off to a great start, all right? And I don't think we're looking at a seasonal forecast this year that's going to support a record crop. I just don't. I think we're going to be facing issues that will prevent that from happening. All right, so whatever that means for you, plan for it. If you're interested in getting analysis like this every day, talking to our team every day, listening to what we have to say as this progresses into the future, bamwx.com. Visit it now. Check us out. Have a great day.